bet on team to win it all and three-peat. You know, never a doubt used to be a rallying cry, and now it's being played in elevators and orthodontist offices. Across the country. So this is the opposite of bulletin board material. Everyone believes in the Chiefs. Are you worried, and do you think Kansas City is better off being doubted?
Greg, this is why the Chiefs winning this last Super Bowl was bad for business. And I mean, it's bad for our business.
Yeah, literally.
It literally, and I don't mean this show specifically, I mean sports media as a whole. Because everyone now has either literally or figuratively bent the knee, and no one wants to doubt them.
I don't know if anyone literally did.
I think a few people did. I think a few people. But 2 years ago, I remember, I think we were still in boxes, my dear saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Tyreek Hill was good." And in that moment, he was trying to convince me that Matt Ryan and the Colts were a real threat, and all these teams that got better, and the Chiefs got worse. That was the conversation.
That was true.
And then Wilds came around. And then last year, the whole sports media world agreed in unison. The Chiefs are cooked.
Yep.
That obviously the Bills are more dangerous. Obviously the Ravens are more dangerous. And you know what? I'd rather play the Chiefs than play the Cleveland Browns with Joe Flacco slinging the ball the way he did. And then everyone looked like fools, except for one or two people, one really. And now no one's going to doubt them. I don't care if they start 0-3. No one is going to doubt them. And so it doesn't matter if they're better off being doubted. They're now undoubtable, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know why they're undoubtable, and I'm not picking the Chiefs just yet.
Well, yeah.
But the reason why they're undoubtable is because what he was able to do, and I was one that, doubted them
Wrote
going
them
into
off.
the postseason.
More than doubted them, wrote them off.
I did. I pretty much
the ball.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think it's
Because what he was going to have to do was so different than what they had ever looked like and what he had ever done. Like, he's always been a fantastic quarterback and somebody that can be counted on in the waning moments of the game. He can win you the game. But to carry a team, to get guys who hadn't performed at the level that was needed all season long, to finally just lock in for me, one game at a time, 4 quarters. Just catch the ball, get down, convert, step your game up a little bit. Patrick Mahomes was able to do that with a lesser talented roster last year than we had ever seen him with. And now, obviously, you add a couple pieces around him. Yeah. Based off what they did last year, it's like, yeah, okay.
I do think he needs a little bit of it, though, don't you?
Okay. So I want to talk about this. Because it's always an interesting conversation. Honestly, it's always hard to listen to Nick talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. He acts like he built them himself, right? Like he is literally Patrick Mahomes' dad, and he, his grandparents built the stadium for Kansas City. But I digress. In terms of, are they better off being doubted? Listen, last season it was appropriate to doubt them. A lot of things needed to fall in favor for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. That's just the reality. I really largely see it that the Ravens lost that game more than the Kansas City Chiefs won that. But can't be any more clear. When the opportunity was for the Kansas City Chiefs to win that game, they absolutely did. Right? Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, just flawless play calling. Travis Kelce stepping up. Without a doubt, they showed their maturity over the Ravens, but that was the Ravens' game for them to take, but they didn't. And again, credit to the Chiefs for taking it. They're saying, okay, if you give us a crack, we're going to take it. And that's really, to me, who the Chiefs are. That's where all that experience and eliteness in terms of like Reid, Kelce, and Mahomes, obviously, that all they need is that little crack, that little tiny little opening. And it doesn't matter what team they have, they can find a way. Andy Reid is never going to be out-coached. It's just not going to happen. And if you put Patrick Mahomes in a position to succeed, he won't be out-dueled either. So that's the benefit that you have with the Kansas City Chiefs. But in the Super Bowl, make no mistake about it, a lot of things needed to go wrong for the 49ers. That random fumble from Christian McCaffrey, that never happens. That wasn't just elite defense by the 49ers or by the Kansas City Chiefs. The fumble on the punt return that hit the back of the knee or wherever it did. Freak accident. That has nothing to do with the Kansas City Chiefs. Greenlaw getting injured. Nothing to do with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's just what happened. If Greenlaw himself didn't get injured on a non-contact, just running onto the field, they win that game. The 49ers win. I mean, I forget what the exact stats were, but they targeted his replacement for Greenlaw's replacement, and Mahomes threw for like over 100 yards. Perfect passer rating, a touchdown, I think. Like, it was just like, it was insane. They just picked it apart. That matters. Those things matter. I know Kansas City Chiefs fans don't want to hear it, but it matters. It absolutely, without a doubt, matters. It all plays a role. And so to reject that is absurd. Because if you're saying that all those things didn't matter, or you're going to say, oh, well, those things happen in all football games. They don't. Obviously, things can go either way in football games. But when you have a whole series of events that needed to happen just to have the Kansas City Chiefs win in overtime, come on. It's not hard to imagine that if the 49ers, Greenlaw doesn't get injured, boom, they win. But with that said, credit to the Chiefs for when they made their mistakes or when they had their issues, like Travis Kelce getting in a fight with Andy Reid on the sideline or Patrick Mahomes throwing an awful interception, their defense stepped up, their team stepped up, and the 49ers couldn't take advantage, right? When the Ravens left the door open for the 49ers or the Bills left the door open for the Chiefs, I think I just messed it up. When the Ravens left the door open for the Chiefs, the Chiefs were able to take it. The Chiefs left the door open, cracked, for the 49ers. Patrick Mahomes throwing a bad fumble. They didn't do it. I don't even think they even kicked a field goal. They may have kicked a field goal, but they certainly did not get a touchdown. That's how you win a Super Bowl, right? That's how you do it. For them not going for it on fourth down and kicking the field goal in overtime, right? Like, the door is cracked. When the Chiefs went for it on their fourth down, I keep messing up the Chiefs and the Ravens. The Chiefs weren't the 49ers. This is going to get a confusing video, and a lot of Chiefs fans are going to yell at me now. I left the door open for you guys. I left the door cracked now for you guys all to come at me. The 49ers weren't able to take advantage of it. That's the difference. That is, to me, what separates the Kansas City Chiefs from all these other teams. That when the door is cracked, they're consistently able to take advantage of it. While these other teams don't. They don't. The 49ers could have won that Super Bowl, even despite all of those things. The door was cracked for them to take it, and the 49ers could not. They could not take advantage of that interception. They could not stop Patrick Mahomes on fourth down. They could not do it. Brock Purdy just needed to convert that first down in the fourth quarter. They win that game. They could not do it. The Kansas City Chiefs find that way. They find that way. And that's really, to me, what separates them. So that doubt makes sense. Because if the Ravens and the 49ers and some of these other teams could find a way to not make it this tiny little margin of error, they could come out and win. But it's just that margin of error is so slim. And when it is that slim, the Chiefs get to edge it out. And that's hard to catch up to because they've now been doing it for so long. Patrick Mahomes is no longer a first or second year player. Andy Reid has been around the block once or twice. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Kansas City Chiefs can be dethroned at this point. It's going to take a full, complete team and a team that actually plays, I don't want to say flawless because there's really no such thing, but it's definitely more buttoned up, right? You can't get a fumble on a punt return in the Super Bowl. You just can't have that happen. You can't miss a field goal. It just can't happen. You can't come up with a bonkers, offensive game plan against the Chiefs. You can't do it. You can't get taunting penalties, multiple unsportsmanlike penalties, and a dumb fumble at the goal line, doing something that they teach you in Pee Wee football not to do. You can't have that happen. You can't do those things and expect to beat the Chiefs. That's not possible. And the Chiefs don't make those mistakes. They just don't. That's why they can overcome some drop passes. That's why they can overcome an offsides penalty. They can overcome those things because of Andy Reid, because of Patrick Mahomes, because they can find a way to get it done that these other teams seemingly can't. So as long as you put the Chiefs in a position where it doesn't come down to that, then those other teams can win, but they struggle to do so. So that's why I'm really curious to see if now the margin of error gets and that the Chiefs don't need just the door cracked, because that's what it felt like last season that they needed. They just needed the door to be cracked a little bit. You open it up for them, boom, they'll win. They'll find that way. It seems like that will probably not be what it will be for the Chiefs this season. So yeah, and then to answer the other question of like, are they better off being doubted? I don't know. I think that's always dumb. I mean, this whole idea that like, you know, underdog mentality or it's a rallying cry and this and that. No. I mean, listen, teams and locker rooms can use that and it can unify them to a degree. But not really. I think when you're a young, immature team, that can unify you for sure. Or if you're a really old team, that can unify you, right? When people say you're too young or too dumb or too inexperienced to do something, when you can have that kind of like unifying underdog mentality, that can help you. Or if you're really old and people are saying you're past your prime and they're doubting you in that regard, that can unify you. But if you're already this great top level team and people are doubting you and you've already won and they're doubting you or not doubting you, like it's just not, it doesn't hit as hard. It's just not as unifying. Patrick Mahomes isn't going to be like, if they're doubting him, he's going to be like, I'm going to prove you guys wrong. At this point, he's going to be like, you're doubting me? Like, he's just going to be like confused. He's just going to be like, what? And I think also someone like a Mahomes and a Travis Kelce, especially these days with the whole Taylor Swift and all that, they're probably going to be more invigorated by the praise and by that moment. And if you could say it could go to their heads and be bad that they're not going to be as prepared, if it was any other team and any other player but a Mahomes and an Andy Reid, I would say maybe. Right? If it was a team that wasn't used to winning, if this was the first time, if the Chiefs were doubted every step of the way last season and then they won, and that was that unifying factor, and that was their first Super Bowl they ever won, then you could maybe make the argument, would it be better for them to be doubted? They have the winning culture. They're already a dynasty to me. The Kansas City Chiefs are a dynasty. They don't need to win another Super Bowl for me to consider them to be a dynasty. I think their dynasty starts the first year that Patrick Mahomes started as a quarterback. I understand they didn't win the Super Bowl from that moment, but they were already established their greatness, their reign. It's part of the dynasty. So I just don't think that we have to like exaggerate or glorify this idea of like being doubted and underdogs and this and that. And, you know, when people expect you to win this, that, like I personally don't buy in that. And I just don't think that someone like a Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid or any of those guys on the Chiefs really need that motivation personally. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think that the Kansas City Chiefs are better off being doubted? Do you think they should be doubted this season? Do you think the doubt last season was justified? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. And I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. And I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.